Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm, of course, your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day and that you're looking after yourselves and again one another. It is a blustery minus 18 here in Edmonton. Hope wherever you guys are, if it's cool, keeping warm. If it's warm, you're keeping cool. And again, look after yourselves and each other. I am joined by Mr. Bill Schuster. Again, how's it going, Bill?
Hi, Armando. Doing well here.
Yeah, it's
It's
good.
not near as cold here. It's still pretty chilly, but not near as much as what you're dealing with. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
won't complain.
Okay. No, it's funny because people tend to think that minus 18 is like balmy weather for Alberta. Well, you know what, guys? It's still bloody cold. I don't give a shit. I don't care what
It's
you
cold
say. It
anyway.
is still cold. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing with our top five albums of the 70s. We stopped at 1973. We are going to continue in this segment with 1974. And for those of you out there who watched the or are going to be watching the last episode, I numbered my selections. So we're good to go. No more mistakes. Okay.
You said
So
it out loud.
yeah. Now watch, we're going to be making mistakes left, right, and center. Okay, so we are going to start in this segment with 1974. So I will hand the virtual mic over to Bill, and we will start with number five from 1974.
All right. For my number five, I'm going to go with a debut album with a very famous cover. That was a famous painting used as the cover.
Hmm.
I'll show you the back of the album. See if you can recognize all
I
these
know who it is.
Midwest hillbillies, so to speak.
Hmm.
It's a debut album from Kansas. They started off with a bang. These guys did not start slow. This is an excellent album right out of the gate. I think my favorite on here is the final song, "Death of Mother Nature Suite," which shockingly did not make the Two for the Show live album, even the
Hmm.
extended version of it that came out later. Yeah, it's one of those songs that, to my mind, should all these years have been one of those classic overplayed songs on radio since
Hmm.
1974, but it didn't happen. So lost opportunity. It's every bit as good as just about any of the other classic songs that have been played to death over the last 50 years. And the rest of the album is not shabby either. I just love Rich Williams. You can see him in his coveralls with his big old bushy hair there.
Hmm.
I mean, I swear this guy's in a hard rock, art rock, progressive rock band, whatever you want to call him. No, he's not. That's old Joe Blow the farmer next door. What are you talking about? And this
Exactly,
these guys,
exactly.
they did not look the part, and that's half the fun, I think.
Oh yeah, no, I all he needed for that photo was a corncob pipe. I
Yeah.
mean,
And of course, the classic oversized John Brown, famous abolitionist. Yeah, this I'm sure many people even that don't know this album will recognize this painting.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I have that
it's,
album.
it's
Yeah,
very very classic.
yeah. There was a
And yes,
time.
they are prog.
Yes, they
I'm
are.
on record. They are a prog rock band.
Yes, they are. There was a time where I started to collect Kansas albums, and I bought, I think, the first four. Um,
Oh, great.
you know, no, good choice. Good choice. My number five, ladies and gentlemen, is Frank Zappa with Apostrophe.
Nice.
Now, I got into Frank Zappa very late. Um, you know, this album was recorded together with Overnight Sensation from 73, came out in 73. All of the songs were basically recorded together. I mean, Frank Zappa has a musical style you either like or you hate, or sorry, you love or you hate. I very rarely I find that people are in the middle with this guy in terms of like either loving or hating him. Um, it's one extreme to the other. I mean, don't eat the yellow snow. I mean, come on, it's comedy, right? Uh, Nanook rubs it. I mean, St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast, Cosmic Debris, Stinkfoot. You know, this features the classic Mothers of Invention lineup of, Ralph Humphreys on drums, George Duke on keyboards, Ruth Underwood, Ian Underwood, Tom Fowler. Um, I do believe that Jean-Luc Ponty was still around at this point because he was working with him on the Overnight Sensation album. And there's also an uncredited Tina Turner doing vocals on this album because, again, all the songs were recorded for both albums around the same time. Um, so, yeah, number five, Frank Zappa with Apostrophe.
That is a classic. That yeah, one of the songs I remember from childhood from hearing my parents' albums played. That whole suite, the Yellow Snow suite, yeah, definitely stuck in my mind as a kid. So that was
Hmm.
definitely my entry to Zappa, and yeah, good pick.
Hmm.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah. Number four is an artist that you may have heard us speak about on this channel before, probably multiple times. This should come as no surprise. Steely Dan, Pretzel Logic.
Hmm.
I mean, with a catalog like this, how is Steely Dan's not going to be in here all over the place? Let's keep it real. So,
Hmm.
yeah, this has their biggest hit, of course. Ricky, don't lose that number, which is the opening is a bit of a lift, of course, from Horace Silver, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was an obvious homage. Not really a steal, just a nod in his direction. Um, this was probably my first exposure to a Duke Ellington song with their cover of East St. Louis Toodaloo. And I never would have guessed decades later I would become a monster Duke Ellington fan and would have a ton of his albums sitting here behind me on the CD shelf. But
Hmm.
you,
Hmm.
Steely Dan, you yeah, helped shape my taste ahead of time.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is yeah, just about as good as anything else they put out in the 70s. I mean, they could do no wrong in the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know it, you love it. I don't have to tell you people about this. You know Steely Dan, come on.
exactly. And just quickly, Steely Dan were one of those groups that basically did whatever the hell they wanted to do musically. I mean, they never kowtowed to what was on the radio or what ABC Dunhill wanted them to do, or maybe would have wanted them to do, or then later MCA. They just did whatever the hell they wanted to do, musically.
We'll say this is pretty much the last album where they were really a band.
Yeah,
The photo there, the core five members, that would start shrinking soon. Katie lied; they'd be bringing in a lot more. Jeff Porcaro and Michael McDonald, two big obvious
yeah,
names. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Jeff Porcaro of Toto and Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers, but I like that photo where you've got Jeff Skunk Baxter and Denny
Denny Diaz,
Denny Diaz. Sorry.
yeah,
Um,
and Jim Hodder.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's a good choice. It's a good choice. Um, my number four, we must continue, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes the Canadian contingent. Is Joni Mitchell with Court and Spark. Um, Fantastic album with, there's the title track, there's Help Me. Um, there we go. There we
yeah.
go.
They get it without the sticker on front. There we go.
There you go. Court and Spark. Um, Again, as I was saying, with Help Me and the title track and The Free Man in Paris and Raised on Robbery, which was released as a single. Um, Car on a Hill, Just Like This Train, fantastic. And this was where she started to go into more of a jazz fusion kind of a feel in terms of her chord progressions that she would do on the acoustic guitar. And great. I have this on vinyl. Like this was back when Bob and I used to troll the record shops, and I used to just, oh, I'll grab that. $10? Okay, that's mine. Walk out with like stacks of records, right? Um, Fantastic. She started to sing in the lower register. This is where she started going to lower register vocally, but then she would also go up into the higher register too. So yeah, fantastic album. And a lot of artists um cite this as an influential album. Stevie Nicks says she got stoned one day listening to this album and couldn't believe what she was hearing. So okay.
Do you recall the I don't recall the exact details of the story, but I remember at some point seeing an interview with Joni where she was talking about being at a party, a listening party when Court and Spark came out, and but the people there were more interested in hearing Dylan's new album, and they were kind of ignoring Court and Spark. I'm thinking, Court and Spark was really, I mean, Dylan is Dylan, but my God, Court and Spark is legendary. It's hard to imagine that kind of being pushed aside by these industry people. And yeah,
Yeah, there's also a story where she was playing the album for David Geffen, who at the time was running Asylum Records. Bob Dylan was in the office with him at the time. Apparently, Bob Dylan fell asleep.
maybe that's the story I'm thinking of. That may
Yeah.
be.
She and Bob Dylan did not get along. I don't know why. Um, Maybe because she's better. I don't know. We won't go there. That's neither here nor there.
Not touching that one.
And for those who question that, sue me. Okay. I mean, it's the way it is. That's my number four.
You
Uh,
got a lot of nerve. Oh, go ahead.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. The times they are changing. I'm like, oh my God. No, okay, never mind. Moving on.
I
Um,
like them both. That's neither here nor there.
yeah. Okay, well, that's my number four, ladies and gentlemen. Join Mitchell, Court, and Spark. Um, your number three.
I cannot find my CD of this. I found every other one of their albums over here, so it's hiding on me. But my number three is from one of my favorite bands, and it's often considered their greatest album. I definitely put it top four of their albums anyway. It is Secret Treaties from Blue Oyster Cult, and it features the song Astronomy, which is uh, it's not as popular, of course, as Don't Fear the Reaper, Godzilla, or Burning for You
Yeah.
with mainstream folks, but amongst Blue Oyster Cult fans, Astronomy always wins the polls as the best song among hardcore fans.
Yeah, it is considered. Yeah.
And it also, the song that leads right into that at the end of the album is Flaming Telepaths, which is, I think, every bit as good as Astronomy. I absolutely adore Flaming Telepaths. The whole album is excellent. And Dominance and Submission, Radios Up Here. This, yeah, just such a cool little story. But there, so many of their songs just have these cool, bizarre stories and
Hmm.
inscrutable lyrics, and they're just musically all over the map there. It's, yeah, it's a fun album. The last of their three early black and white period albums before they started recording separately on Agents of Fortune and changed their sound a bit, got a little poppier, and yeah,
Yeah.
for better and for worse.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
Secret Treaties is number three.
Good choice. Good choice. Um, my number three is from Camel with Mirage. Um, Fantastic album, 5 tracks. I mean, progressive rock outfit. You know, guys, by the way, there is a box set available from Camel called Airborne. It is the complete discography of Camel, 32 discs in this collection. If you can get it, it's like $300, but if you can afford it, get it. Um, I was listening to this album, just fantastic. Firefall, Super Twister, the instrumental, Andy Latimer, Peter Burden's on vocals. I mean, just fantastic. Very intricate, very layered, textured, a lot of use of mellotrons and keyboards, but also flute, just very soothing. Not heavy at all. I mean, there's heavy passages and intricate time signature changes and stuff, but still very accessible. There's also the instrumental Earthrise on this. 5 tracks on the album. You have the Lady Fantasy Suite, I should say, and the White Rider Suite that's on side one. So, I mean, again, uh, very intricate, very layered and textured, but also very accessible at the same time. So, if you want to grab an album from a classic band that I only found out about a couple of years ago, really, this is an album for you. This one and their follow-up release, The Snow Goose, is they're both fantastic releases. So yeah, that's my number three, Camel and Mirage.
Excellent. Yeah, Lady Fantasy is one of those that I think of like Death of Mother Nature Suite that should be one of those songs that's played to death on classic rock radio. It actually was, if I recall correctly, I could be wrong, don't quote me, but I'm
Mhm.
thinking around the St. Louis, Missouri area here in the States. So there's a big station, KC 95, that I'm pretty sure that they actually did play Lady Fantasy back in the 70s and even as a lost classic up into the 80s. But yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, if
yeah,
they did,
it's an
no, I
excellent,
wouldn't doubt it at all.
great.
Yeah.
And I would add Moon Madness to the two you mentioned as another one if people want to check them out. But I think Mirage is definitely the place to start if you haven't heard Camel.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
good call.
Yeah.
Um, let's
You're
see,
number
number
two.
two. All right, man. There was only one thing that could have kept this out of first place, and that one thing is my favorite album of all time by anyone, which will be coming up next.
Mhm.
Sadly, this album had to go up against that juggernaut, Electric Light Orchestra, El Dorado.
Mhm.
High on the hill in El Dorado. Rah, rah. Oh,
Mhm.
this thing is sublime. I love it. I mean, Can't Get It Out of My Head was the hit on the
The
album,
lead
but
up single,
every
yeah.
track is gorgeous on here. The song El Dorado itself, oh wow. It's
Mhm.
great. And Laredo Tornado, I love to sing along with that.
Mhm.
Even if my voice isn't what it used to be, it's still just, I think it's one of Jeff Lynne's best vocal performances. Laredo Tornado. I'm not even going to try to hit that because my voice is already cracking. But yeah, Laredo Tornado is classic, and Boy Blue is awesome. I mean, come on, the shoes, the witch's hands,
I mean,
another
yeah,
fantastic
that
movie.
cover is iconic. I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
I mean, who everyone knows that shot.
Yeah,
Everyone can reference that shot. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, yeah. Fantastic. Good choice.
this
And
this might be my favorite ELO album. It's definitely top two.
okay. All right. Um, and for the record, I did go out one day with Bob and I bought all of the ELO catalog on vinyl.
Nice.
Nine
Still
ninety
working on
nine.
replacing.
Hmm?
How much?
It was I don't know how many albums, but it was like they were all 9.99 each.
Hey, that's not bad at all.
So I just took my debit card, like, okay, done.
Yeah,
You know, Bob, could you please pick up this bag? Sure, no problem. Okay.
yeah, I got it.
Yeah, 2 hernias later, but we're good. He's much better now, folks. Um,
It was worth it, Bob. ELO rules.
yes, they do. Yes, they do. My number two, ladies and gentlemen, is Supertramp with Crime of the Century. Um, what to say about this album? A lot. From the iconic cover. Um, it was their third release dedicated to Sam, who was basically the benefactor who supported the band for the first few releases. Um, School, there are 8 tracks, first of all. Let's back up. Released to A&M, produced by Ken Scott. I honestly believe that this is one of the, if not the best sonically sounding albums ever made.
Agreed.
Uh, People say that the Trident drum sound is a very thin, tinny drum sound. Not with this album. I don't know what the hell they did, but the drums are rich and full and upfront in the mix. Amazing. Songs like School, Bloody Well Right, Hide in Your Shell, Asylum. That's side one. Side two, Dreamer, Rudy. If everyone was listening, my personal favorite track, along with the title track, the epic Crime of the Century. Hello, case closed, game over. That's it. An amazing album. Um, just sublime. There's no fillers on this album, all killer. You've got, okay, rock, hints of progressive rock, hints of jazz with Rudy. Just an amazing album. And for it to be number two, you can just imagine what my number one is going to be. We'll find out in a minute.
Yeah.
Over to Bill.
All right. That was an excellent summation of my number one pick and my favorite album of all time. Supertramp, Crime of the Century. And yes, I agree. Yeah, when I think of, I've tried to adjust my rating scale when I do an album on a 10 scale
Yeah.
these days. I think I've given out too many tens. This is the album I judge them against now. When I think, is this album on par with Crime of the Century? If not, then it's not a 10. Because this is a 10. This is a Spinal Tap. This is an 11. I mean, this, wow. And I agree. Yeah, sonic perfection. This album is, it's old, covers battered. This is an original copy from '74. It's another one of those that I've had from my parents' collection.
Mhm.
And it still sounds amazing, even on my cheap setup. I got CD over here. I've had it on 8 track. I've had it on cassette. They all sound good. Even the 8 track sounded amazing, except for where the tracks split.
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
another that's another story.
That's another show.
Go away, 8 tracks. You're not wanted.
Yeah, don't you come back no more.
Yes.
Yeah, I get you.
Oh yeah, we can't forget the picture of the gentlemen holding their hats and jackets here.
Yeah, and yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, that's all right. This yeah, I think you pretty well covered enough to say about it. It's just yeah, it's an album I could put on at any time, any place. It doesn't matter if I'm in the mood for it or not. As soon as I hear it, I am in the mood for it. Truly never gets old. So, and yeah, I need to hear it all from start to finish.
Yeah.
It's seamless. Yeah, I wouldn't change a note.
Mhm. Little footnote. We were in the car, Bob and I were in the car one day. We were just going into the supermarket downtown, and the track Crime of the Century came on the radio. And I said, can we sit and listen to this? Like, so he turned off the engine, before we got out. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, listen, whatever. Or we were idling. And I said, you have to listen to the middle break, the middle section with the piano when the piano comes in, the grand piano
Yeah,
intro on that, right? And he's like, okay, okay. And he's like, the look on his face was like, yeah, so what? I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, you're not into this? No, it's all right. But what about it? I'm like, okay, let's go shopping. Like, had no interest in what was playing. Like, no, the grand, the chords that were being played and the whole intro, and it's just no, you know,
it's not feeling
nothing.
it.
He wasn't feeling it. Maybe heartburn, but he wasn't feeling that. He wasn't feeling the music. So, but yeah. So, okay, guys, my number one is big surprise, Queen 2. Um, Released April of '74. recorded in August of 73. I've mentioned this before, this is considered to be Queen's progressive rock album. If it isn't the progressive rock album, guys, it's damn well close. Um, the original title for this album was going to be Over the Top, due to what they called their wall of sound. Layers and layers of guitars, ascending guitar lines, descending vocal lines, ascending vocal lines, descending guitar lines, overlapping, intertwining, mixing, and just mingling and making a textured wall of sound. You know, even the album's centerpiece, The March of the Black Queen on side two, which features polymetric and polyrhythmic uh, time signatures, which were rarely ever used in progressive rock. I mean, this album for some people was a bit much. Some of the critics called it pretentious. I call it sublime. I call it a masterpiece. Even the iconic, uh, cover art from Mick Rock, that was inspired by a movie called Shanghai Express with Marlene Dietrich. And the fact that they labeled side one, side white, side two, side black, the whole package overall works, and it works to perfection. There's no filler tracks on this, Procession, Father to Son, Someday, One Day, White Queen, I should say, between Father to Son and Someday, One Day, and Loser in the End, side two. Ogre Battle, The Fairy Follows Masterstroke, uh, Nevermore, The March of the Black Queen, Funny How Love Is, which was never performed live in concert, and the single Seven Seas of Rye, which was their first top 10 UK hit. Just a masterpiece, and it is my number one.
I knew I could count on you to hold up the Queen end here. You've had back to back years with Queen at the top of your list.
Guilty.
Nothing
Again,
wrong with that.
again, this was at a time too where you had groups releasing year after year, album after album,
Mhm.
right? And they're not always going to be at the top of the list, most often probably than not, but that's my number one.
All right, good call.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
we've got two honorable mentions.
All right. Well, you've already said my first one, and that was Camel's Mirage.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, we already. I don't really have anything more to say on that. We already talked about it, but yeah, I obviously second the motion. Camel's Mirage is highly recommended.
Cool. Cool. It's a good choice. My first honorable mention is Keith Jarrett with Belonging.
Nice.
Jazz fusion artist, fantastic instrumentalist. With the tracks "Long as You're Living Yours," beautiful, just very atmospheric, very laid back. It's an also uh, "Spiral Dance" is another fantastic track on the album. It's an album that you can just put on and just let it play and forget about it. You know, these days with CDs, you can put it on loop to keep it going, and you're good to go. Dinner party or on your own with the lights down or no lights, just the lights off the stereo component. You're done. You're good. So that's my first honorable mention.
Good. I'm glad to see you're giving some jazz love on these lists because I've kind of been slacking in that area here.
I
I'm
am
losing my
versatile in
minimal
some
jazz
spots.
cred. You what?
I am versatile in some spots. I
That's
kind of
good.
give a bit of here and there, right? So I mean,
All right. Well, I'm going to go a bit off the beaten path with my other honorable mention as well here. Um, she's probably most famous as a one-hit wonder to people, but that one hit is not on this album. That one hit is "Midnight at the Oasis." The
oh,
artist is,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
Maria Muldaur. The album is "Waitress in a Donut Shop." It used to have the record. I don't know whatever happened to it. It was one of those again that my parents had, and somewhere along the line it disappeared. But once I found the CD years ago, I said, yes, got to have it because this is a classic. She's very eclectic singer. She covers a wide variety here. Some of the songs I remember in particular as a kid, "It Ain't the Meat, It's the Motion."
I was going to mention that.
Yeah. And Honey Baby Blues, I remember a lot as a kid. I ain't got no honey baby now. Yeah, she has a version of Brickyard Blues and Traveling Shoes, and it's there's lots of beautiful songs here. The Cool River is just a sublime, sweet vocal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It's just a really lovely, relaxing, folky sort of album. Uh, she's done a lot more since then, but for whatever reason, she's one of those artists that I'm pretty well content with the one album, and this is that one album.
Yeah. No,
Waitress in a donut shop.
yeah, I was introduced to her. I mean, obviously, I remember listening to her when I was, when she was on shows like American Bandstand in the 70s, right? But she had that one song, A Brand New Pair of Roller Skates.
That was Melanie, Brand New
Oh,
Key.
Melanie, was that Melanie? Okay,
Yeah.
my mistake. I thought it was her.
Uh-huh.
No, sorry. Okay, strike that, guys. Um,
That won't be the last mistake we make, I'm sure.
of course, of course. No, it's a good choice. It's a good choice. My second and last honorable mention is Kiss with their debut album. I mean, you know what? Say what you want about Kiss. Um, to a lot of people, it is a classic album. And it features a lot of their songs that they would play live for years to come, like when they were touring, songs like Deuce and Strutter and Nothing to Lose, which was their first single. Cold Gin, you know, um, just balls to the wall, heavy rock. People called them, a joke. But you know what? This album over time garnered a lot of respect. There was a story that when it was released, prior to its release, Warner Brothers, who at the time distributed Casablanca Records for Neil Bogart, passed a memo around to the staff at Warner Brothers to not promote the band, to forget about them and to not promote them. And when Neil Bogart found out, he hit the roof and he opted out of his contract for distribution with Warner Brothers on the strength of what he felt was a good album and was a good group. So, I mean, there's even a track on here called Love Theme from Kiss, which started out as a track called Acrobat, which was an instrumental, which, if you're a diehard Kiss fan, you can find the original live version of Acrobat on the Kissology Volume 1 set on DVD. But yeah, just for some, it is a classic album, and I kind of see you cringing there on the screen when I mention it. But
No, that brings Kiss brings back a whole different memory for me in the 70s. They
okay,
I wanted to go see them with my parents. I didn't care about the music at that point. I just thought it would be a cool show because it was Kiss. I mean,
yeah,
these guys are like monsters come to life, breathing fire, spitting blood, costumes,
yeah,
But they didn't take me, but it worked out okay for me because I was 10 and they went with some friends, and I stayed back with their 11-year-old daughter and the babysitter who fell asleep in the chair with her hand in the popcorn bowl watching the movie. And me and the 11-year-old daughter went and made out in the shoe closet. My first kiss,
okay,
thanks to Missing Kiss. I mean, Cheap Trick said, mom and dad were rolling on the couch, got my Kiss records on. Well, I was rolling on top of the shoes while the Kiss records were off. So
There you go. There you go. Didn't expect that, but that's cool. All right. That's all right.
very
That's all
important
right.
information for you Kiss fans to know.
There you go. There you go. So okay. That's cool. That's actually really cool. Okay, guys, there you go for our top five albums of the 1970s for the year 1974. We're going to be taping a few of these episodes, so please stay tuned for 1975. That was a banner year for music. So for Mr. Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti, wishing you guys a happy day. Please take care of yourselves again and one another, and we will see you soon with another video. Bye for now.